It's impossible to disassociate my story from that of Horatio, the first of our name. The first beings to travel widely between the stars were known as the Endless. We know of no earlier form of intelligent life that moved between galaxies. Their history is glorious, but above all tragic. Though they unlocked the secrets of time-space, the stars, and life itself, they were unable to master their own internal conflicts. What remains now of the Endless are strange disjointed traces in the form of seeds or observatories, of experiments, of cities and worlds, and perhaps, though not all of this is clear or verifiable, in the forms of other peoples. Many starfaring civilizations have since risen to the fore. Some have fallen as well. Events in recent history have led to an explosion in the number of players in the galactic scene. One of these, undoubtedly a major one, is Horatio. Once upon a time, Horatio was just a man, a simple trillionaire. One night, a vision came to him in the shape of a dream. It was the vision of an empire and eternal life. He left everything behind, venturing through the stars. Over the ages, he discovered many of the mysteries left by the Endless, and his knowledge and power grew. He created his first sons, and willed his empire into existence, a beacon of all that is brilliant and beautiful. Now the empire of Horatio flourishes, and Horatio himself is immortal, with a power to rival that of the Endless themselves. Some say that they were living gods. They're dead now, though, while we thrive through our brother, our god, Horatio. Hey, Mr. Smokes. Go choice line. I think I heard someone. All the clones in this batch are to be decanted today. I know this is earlier than the original schedule planned for, but the schedule didn't plan for 2 patrol squads in the heartland of the Empire to go missing within a month. Just follow my lead and the procedure will be fine. If you do well today, you might be promoted to junior lab technician earlier than expected. Wasn't sure if they were talking to me. Apparently he's talking to, they're talking to them. Hey, Indie Babble. This would be amazing, sir. Don't interrupt. Most of the process is automated, but contrarily to some of the clone hatching sequences you've seen in class, the final steps are still done by hand. There are procedures for which cannot be trusted. You have to rely on steady Horatio judgment. How's it going, Mr. Bingley? Thank you kindly for the 8 months. Appreciate that. Hey there, Helm. Back to our specimens. You will handle clone births A through L. I'll do the other row. Pick one and get to work. Can you hear me? One moment I'm asleep, and the next I'm alive. My eyes struggle to adjust to the brightness of the room. It slowly comes into focus. There's a man in a white and blue uniform bent over me with a bald, elongated head and a look of concern on his face. Hello? Ah, you're awake. Great. I have a couple of questions for you. He shoves the small hollow pad he's holding in my face. It's very bright and I recoil slightly, groaning something. He starts flipping through the pages when the other voice calls out. Come over, please. I need your help. The man looks for a place to put down the holopad, then realizes his outfit doesn't have pockets big enough to accommodate it. Turgus F-07, I'm talking to you. Get moving. Yes, sir. Coming. He looks down at me and ends up putting the tablet down next to me. I'll be back. He trots away and out of sight. Ah, good there. I struggle to prop myself up on one elbow so I can keep watching him. He stops at a platform some distance away, on which lies a naked man. Another uniformed man is standing nearby, looking at a side panel next to the platform. All three of them look exactly alike. Brothers? How can I help, sir? The uniformed man points at the naked form in front of him. This clone is faulty. The lights are on, but it seems nobody's home. I try to make sense of all this. These people are clones of one another? What do you mean, sir? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? He can hear us, but he can't respond. Something must have gone wrong during the process. On the outside, he's fine, but his motor or educational imprinting is flawed. The result is this useless Hulk. What good is being beautiful if you can't make everyone proud? The cloning vats are near perfect, but every once in a while, some other part of the pipeline produces a disgusting abnormality. Let's take care of him and chalk him up as a total loss. What do you need me to do? Simple. Take his legs. The man called Turgus F-07 grabs the unmoving clone by the ankles and looks at the other clone. The latter has passed his hands under the clone's arms and pulls him off the platform with a grunt. We'll put the body back in the recycling chute. This way we'll get the nutrients back. Think of it as his way of contributing. Both of them tug and pull haphazardly, and before long they're panting. We can't afford to show weakness at this time, or ever. Everything and everyone is perfect and beautiful in the Horatio Empire. It's a kindness we're doing to him, when you think about it. I watch as they come near and realize that there are about a dozen other men on the platforms. All of them are in various states of laying down or sitting up, looking at the grotesque scene with mild interest. Every single one of them is a carbon copy of the trio in front of us. I catch my reflection on the surface and suddenly realize I, too, am one of them. A clone of them. A Horatio. It is a good thing we caught this now, so we can fix it before the ceremony. Our records need to be perfect. Otherwise, we'll end up in a backwater station, decanting only he knows what. This is a small blessing, really. For you and me, I mean. For him, not so much. The trio passes in front of me, and for a moment my eyes lock into those of the faulty clone. Far from being dead inside, I can see fear radiating from him. He knows he's going to be killed off because he's imperfect. I sit up and try to figure out what these tests are about. I don't want to follow this guy in the recycling chute. Every time I think about what a memory test entails, I come up with a blank. I think that's the issue right there. My body's functional, I can understand what people are saying and think, but there's nothing of the memory implants they mentioned. I'm a blank slate. Prop him up while I open the chute. I gotta do something about this. I turn around to look at the clone next to me, who is gazing about with an air of studied detachment. Her eyes lock and his expression shifts to a scowl. I haven't done anything to deserve it, although I've been fidgeting on my platform. What are you looking at, substrate? I rummage for a good comeback. All of these guys seem to hold perfection in very high regard. I know what'll shut them right up. Hey, Magic Cut. I'm just wondering whose clone you are. Surely you can't be one of us. It takes him a moment, but eventually he gets it. He reddens and mutters under his breath. Definitely doesn't sound friendly. I realize we seem to be easily provoked, and causing a scene might just be my way out. Pull my legs off of the platform to do just that when I catch something about to fall off. It's the holopad Turgus F-07 has left by my side. Maybe there's some information in there that'd help me cheat my way through the test instead. What should I do? Those at least have the potential to be very different outcomes. Provoke a fight or look for information. Provoke a fight. No time to investigate. Put the holopad down on the platform, hop off, and throw myself at my neighbors, screaming. What did you just say to me? He's taken aback by my sudden outburst, and I land a beautiful first slap that almost throws him off the platform. I try to shove him onto the ground. He grabs me by the head, which is surprisingly effective, and we both fall to the floor with a crash. We start swiping at each other with our eyes closed, grimacing and trying to protect our faces from the blows. The other clones are coming around us and chanting, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" Others are saying things like, "Punch his ugly face!" and "Show him who's got the best genes." We're not hurting each other much, but it gets tiring quickly. Thankfully, the lab technicians arrive and separate us. We're both panting and sweaty, which is unpleasant to me, but seems to be absolutely awful for the other guy. I win this round. That's enough, you two. You're going to mess up your pretty faces. Who'll even look at you after that, huh? What were you even fighting for? This is do or die. My opponent looks defiantly around and spits out... He was looking funny at one of his betters. I told him to back off. He called me a substrate. I clearly have the better genes. The lab technician in charge looks at Turgus F-07 and snickers. Sort these idiots out. I'm gonna let indoctrination know we've got a feisty bunch. He leaves the room. Turgus F-07 sighs and pinches the bridge of his nose. Okay. Everyone, line up against that wall. We'll do a quick assessment and you'll be on your way. You two idiots sit in the idiot corner over here until we're done. You're clearly functioning and you seem to have the exact amount of jealousy that you need. Should probably be tested for stupidity down the line. I'm sure you'll make a great first impression in indoctrination. My opponent seems annoyed. I'm doing my best to mimic his expression, but I'm secretly relieved. We passed the test. I sit in silence, my blood pumping in my ears, waiting until testing is done and we're called away. Pass the test right on by. Yep. Ambitutors. I think I'm missing it. Missing the reference or joke. Sometime later, the assistant comes back. Thank you for waiting. I'm gonna ask you to please head to wardrobe in the next room over, where you'll find your station uniform. Anyone will do. They're all the same size, obviously. After that, you'll be directed towards indoctrination. This will be followed by dinner, orientation, and you'll be shown to your quarters. Now, this way, please. And I also have to wonder if I should just be giving everybody the same exact voice. That would be appropriate, but I don't know. The door to the next room opens, and we step inside. Try to put a few people between me and my neighbor from the lab. There's a few tables at the far end of the room. Uniforms are neatly stacked and folded, next to one another. So try to be basically the same voice. Alright. We look at one another uneasily until someone steps forward and grabs a uniform, looks at it warily, and puts it on. We follow suit. It is some sort of green jumpsuit with 2 deep pockets. Closes with a simple zipper in the front. The uniform's a pretty snug fit, and the fabric seems sturdy, yet comfortable. I notice there are pairs of light boots under the table, so I take a pair. They're a bit tight. Greetings, Skitcher. I put my hands in my pockets and look around me, waiting for what's next. I know, right us out. Starting at green. High tier. The wait doesn't last. After a minute, another door opens. The assistant from before is holding his holopad and peers inside. Okay, well, normally there's somebody else to show you the way to indoctrination. We're a bit short-staffed at the moment, apparently. There's a grumble from my neighbors at this lack of decorum. I've lit up a path in the holoscreens. It will guide you there. Just proceed down that hallway to the concourse and follow instructions. Sorry about that. I shuffle out of the room and hesitantly walk down the hallway, hoping that I won't get lost. The others are following me, although at a distance. No one seeming to want to take the initiative. They seem to be familiar with our surroundings, but not with the layout of the station. At least, none of us has to pretend. I think no one wants to be the one going down the wrong way or making a mistake in front of the others. I've seen crossroads twice and stuck to the path indicated by an arrow on the wall screens. So far, so good. I keep walking. The others follow. Incidentally, this is appears to be made in Ren'Py, the same program Doki Doki was made in. Eventually I hear a murmur in the distance, which grows to a distinct noise as I draw nearer. I see some bright lights in the distance, and a much more colorful environment. I step out onto a plaza, a cathedral of green and gold. There are columns and glass everywhere, with manicured trees and shrubs in every corner, and overhead, an immense glass canopy. This must be the concourse. There are lots of other people here, all wearing the same jumpsuits as we are. Probably fresh new clones, just like us. Even my jaded brethren around me are all murmuring among themselves in tones of wonder and amazement, as if talking out loud might make the wonders fade away. This way, please. The voice cuts through the noise effortlessly, and in a moment, the conversations go quiet. Horatio has appeared on an immense holoscreen, inviting us to move along. There are more hollow projections in the hallway leading to... what was it? Indoctrination? That sounds unpleasant. Nonetheless, I follow the crowd. We meander through the corridors for a couple of minutes before we reach our destination. This is a huge room covered in rich materials, from the deep carpeting in the middle of the room to the paneled walls. There are long rows of wide, comfortable-looking seats, all facing a wall covered with an immense holoscreen. Low columns form arcades and run along the walls of the room. It's beautiful. A Horatio in a red suit is standing with arms crossed. Doesn't look like he's got his arms crossed. On a low podium in front of the holoscreen. He has a look of studied annoyance on his face. Once all of us are inside the room, he speaks up. May I have your attention, please? The crowd falls silent. His voice carries across the room, and even from somewhere near the entrance, I can easily hear him. Please take a seat. Go all the way through the row. Don't just hog the center seats. You'll hear me just fine from the sides as well. There's a bit of a rush forward from the new clones to do exactly the opposite of that. Soon enough, a cluster of Horatios are sitting in the prime seats and preventing the rest of the file from moving along. Oh, for his sake! Go around the audience and find a seat from the other side and occupy the back and side seats if necessary. I position myself carefully in a spot at the back. I'd rather watch what's happening and do my best to blend in. The Horatio in the red outfit seems about to continue when another moves in from the shadowy arcades to the sides of the room and climbs the steps to the podium. His feet echo softly on the green marble tiles. The red Horatio closes his mouth and deflates a bit. The other one is moving pretty slowly, and from the envious looks of my closest neighbors, I can only imagine that it's on purpose. He dismisses Red with a casual gesture of the hand and a smile. Red Horatio leaves the stand. With a grin, the second Horatio turns to us, his cape flowing in an emphatic demonstration that he's here and demands our attention. When he speaks, his inflections are slightly different. I surmise that he probably spends a lot of time speaking in public. So this one specifically has a different voice. But but still just different, not different. Thank you, second-rate Master Sergeant Exodus B12. That'll be all. To each and everyone. Yep, that is not a typo. To each and every me, welcome to Kappa Station, finest in the cluster. Your memory imprints do not cover the last couple of decades since the last backup was distributed among cloning facilities in this quadrant. Therefore, a lot of the information you know, and the things you know, may be outdated. This is a crash course in what has happened while you were sleeping. Let's start with the most important thing, etiquette with regards to my person. You may address me as third-rank esteemed Grand Headmaster Radshi Eternus P02. In settings that only comprise initiate level and above station personnel, you may call me simply Grand Headmaster or Master Eternus P02. In public, you will always address me as Your Likeness. Provided that the honorifics have been properly given and received, in a small setting, you may subsequently call me Sir. He pauses for a second. Now that this is covered, let us move on to secondary topics. First, your own identity. It is with a great pleasure that I deem you all initiates. More specifically, your full name will be First Level Initiate Meg Hers, since this is your facility of origin, and then your chosen name, along with your decanting birth and batch number. You are batch 21 of this administration. There's a holopad on your desk. You may use it now to approve your suggested name or pick another one. Look at the holopad resting atop the desk. Placeholders. The screen reads, First Level Initiate Megrez Placeholders F21. Is that... do I really want to be called by that name? I don't know, what do we think? Yeah, it sounds like a better ship name than a person name. It's somewhat interesting that they do give you the option, I suppose. Just like in terms of the world, feels like everyone would probably be assigned a name, but Alright, name fit for a king. I guess Placeholders F21 is my name now. First level initiate, Megrez, place Holdus F21. I look at my reflection in the glass panel of the holoscreen. Yep, that looks like me. Place Holdus F21 for short. Plus, by picking the default option, I'm sure I won't stick out from the crowd. The Horatio on stage must have some way of checking our progress, because, after a moment, he continues. As initiates, you must not address Category X personnel or unsightly species you may encounter directly. You may find the closest underling to do that for you. Interesting, we're not the lowest tier to start, huh? Yeah, that's right, instant. If it lets us enter our own name, we just enter placeholders anyway. That was amazing in one shot. Be aware that there are many new species that have been added to his glorious empire. Zunglies aside, there might be some more aliens around the station. Do not be alarmed, they should all be tame. Generally, the rough and unwashed masses are kept away from their betters, but several client species are permanent residents aboard Kappa Station. Of course it's Kappa Station. It is entirely possible that you'll come across some of their representatives over the course of the next few weeks. Should you need to communicate with them, they are familiar with our speech and will attempt to replicate it, to the best of their ability. Most of the new species we have encountered have proven to be just as disappointing as we expected. He smirks. He flicks his wrist and pulls his belt buckle free. With a wave, the buckle lights up, revealing a small holopad. Fancy. Now, for a brief overview of what has happened in the last decades. Relationships with the so-called fledgling United Empire remain very cold. Representatives from their young leader, a male human called Zelavis, have refused vassalage under the auspicious leadership of Horatio himself. Similarly, they have repelled violently several attempts at claiming outer planets for our empire. Proceed with caution. Relationships with the robotic insectoid hive known as the Cravers is still at an all-time low. They have eaten the last dozen envoys, as well as the ships they came on. The colony of Heka was deemed lost after we had to vitrify the surface in the year 20? Well, there's not even a 2 there. In the year 1019-1 after him, their strength would make a great addition to the Empire, but at the time we are not pursuing efforts any further. Years always begin with 2, yep. Well, it's the distant future, the year 2000. Similarly, we are currently not in speaking terms with the Sophon Republic. The diminutive know-it-alls have recently jumped the gun and seized the system of Ingress. And... wait, this happened centuries ago. He flicks through several screens of his holoscreen in rapid succession. All this information is completely out of date. Who messed with the geopolitics database? I am surrounded by complete idiots, I swear. Never mind this. He turns off the holoscreen, sighs, and continues. I guess I will be doing this from memory. It might be a bit patchy, something that your own memories will definitely encounter too once you start living in your bodies for a while. Something to do with having millennia of memories of him. Moving on, you might be wondering why so many of you are being decanted at this time, and for what purpose. This station is home to Horatio Academy, where the best and brightest of his siblings come from all across the Empire for further education. The best of these, in turn, get a shot at joining the other academy, led by a Vodiani male called Isyander. Ah, The Vodiani. Life-sucking ghouls who live in gigantic space arcs and prey on the defenseless souls of our brethren. Except this Isyander fellow, who fled them and founded the Academy, a place that has grown into immense power. They have knowledge of mastery of... they have knowledge and mastery of dust. Your purpose, if you end up among the chosen few, is to go there and acquire some of this knowledge and power, and bring it back for the glory of his empire. Finally, the why so many of you at once? Well, 2 of our exploration vessels disappeared recently. They contained the brightest minds of this generation, our best shot at getting the knowledge we're seeking. They are gone now, and just a very few short weeks before Horatio Prime himself is due to review our Academy cadets. Horatio Prime himself is coming to Kappa Station, and we have no cadets. The shame this would bring to me and to the whole station would be unbearable. Anyway, you have got about 3 weeks to become these cadets. There will be extensive training. There will be classes. There'll be etiquette courses and lessons of the latest courtly dances. There will be no failure. Or else. Hey there, Uncle Ligor. Now, if you have questions, keep them for your instructors tomorrow. Time for you to get sustenance and retire to your personal quarters. He turns away and walks out the same way he came, under the arcades and out of sight. The Saturnus P02 guy is something else. How's it going, Jagfar? Courtly etiquette. I mean, you can still become the queen without courtly etiquette. Easy come, easy go. I guess that's how people are around here. If I understand him correctly, I have 3 weeks to not only pass for a normal Horatio, but to become an outstanding specimen, worthy of sending on to steal secrets from a powerful alien entity. Gotcha. People have already started getting up when the other one comes back. Master Sergeant something something, I believe. Attention, please. You are now going to be provided with dinner. Follow me to the mess hall. Without waiting, he turns around, walks down the podium, and off into the direction opposite the one we came. My brother and I quickly follow. How's it going, Stargrasper? Finally, we get there. Compared to the concourse in the room we were just in, this is a rather drab place. Somehow halfway between a spaceport and a hospital. It doesn't look like a place to enjoy dinner so much as a place to eat. A place to feed oneself. Some of my, I guess, classmates are already in line, and a few have already sat down to eat something I can't quite identify yet. I've decided to say classmates since I can't settle on whether we should be feeling any kinship towards one another. It does feel strange to hear brethren every other sentence, and I guess calling us cadets might be getting ahead of myself yet. The headmaster's speech didn't really help normalize the situation, really. Someone bumps into me and I realize I'm holding up the crowd. I get in line. I grab a tray and slide it on the rail. There's some odd kitchen utensils available, but I'm not sure what purpose they serve, so I compromise by taking a spoon from the lot. Upon closer inspection, I realize it's a spork. The future looks amazing. I look up at the people serving us food. They're all Horatios too, wearing some sort of jumpsuit and looking pretty upset to be here. One hands me a bowl of something I don't quite recognize, serving me a mean look at the same time. That is true. This is a free game. I don't know how impactful choices are or not, Magic Cat. I'm surprised by the direct eye contact, and before I know it, I'm saying, hello, thank you? The Horatio lunch person is as surprised as I am and frowns before saying back, hello, enjoy your food. I've never before seen anyone be so begrudging in saying thank you. But then again, I've not seen many people. Take it easy, friend. I shuffle along and look at the contents of my bowl. It's slop. Definitely slop. I don't know what it's made of or what animal it came out of. Oh well. At least it seems hot. I grab some water and a piece of bread. Greetings, Catholic One, and formal fighting. No dessert options. Princely. I look around for a place to sit next to someone, hoping for a bit of, well, any kind of interaction. I sit down next to a bored-looking classmate, but after a few overtures and encouraging smiles, I give up. Every me's a bit on edge, and at other tables, it looks like people are focusing on the contents of their tray. The slop proves to taste just as awful as it looks. Once I'm done pushing about the last bits of food left, I stand up and go put my tray back where I've seen others do so. A fair bunch of people have left already, and looking at their trays, it seems like I'm not the only one for whom enjoyment of our dinner was minimal. Off to the side, there's a guard ticking people off a long list and sending them down a hallway. It's that Master Sergeant dude again, I think? Yep, we're all clones, Jigfa. I'm not familiar with Joe Haldeman. Some of us, it seems, have different face markings and uniforms, although I'm not sure what their meanings are. We lock eyes and he barks up. What's your name, first level initiate? I enunciate clearly. I'm Placeholdus F21, first level initiate Meg Res Placeholdus F21. He searches for a few moments, then finds it. Yes, Placeholdus F21. Your living quarters are in section B8, level 9, hallway 47, door 32. It's down this way. Just follow the signs, you can't miss it. And if you do, you'll figure it out eventually. I look at the way he's pointing. I look at the way... I'm trying to put the at up front. I look the way he's pointing at, a nondescript hallway off to the side, leading away from the concourse. I look back at the guard, but he's turned his attention to someone else. Hesitantly, I set out to find door 32. My footsteps echo softly down long, empty hallways. It takes me some time to realize I don't see anyone else, although I sometimes hear voices echoing from afar. I eventually find my way to level 9, hallway 47. It's an even quieter area of the station, which is saying something. There are small doors there, tiny affairs compared to the ones in the main concourse. Even the ceiling is much lower, about 2 meters high. The lighting is a mix of neon glare and the ever-oppressive flicker of a tube that just refuses to give up the ghost. I look around me to get my bearings. It seems I'm nearly at the end of the hallway, where a bend leads to some sort of control system for life support. I guess I'm getting the finest air in the area then? Hey there, Daxter Speed. That might be helpful. With one last look towards the map, I start down the hall. Door 1, 2, 31, 32. This should be it. I look around. Might be the finest air in the area, but boy oh boy, this end of the hallway looks like it hasn't seen a mop in weeks. There's strange sounds coming from the next door over, which must be the life support control room. Ominous. Is this the right place? Section B8, level 9, hallway 47, door 32. Yep. No doubt, this is me. I pull the heavy metallic door open with a groan and step inside. From my vantage point, I survey my new kingdom. From left to right, there's a tiny sink for my ablutions, a mirror that doubles as a holoscreen, a toilet with no lid, a closet, a narrow bunk with a blanket and a pillow, some almost empty shelves, and we're back to the door. All in a cylinder, about 2 by 4 meters. Cozy. Well, this may not be the warm embrace of a cloning birth, but it will do. At least I have the place to myself. I pull the door closed behind me. There's a distracting buzzing coming from an overhead fan. The finest air, huh? I sit down on the bed and look about. It's a bit too hot in here, and now that the door is closed. There are actual physical controls on a panel by the entrance, so I turn the temperature down a notch. The buzzing increases to a screech. Is something scraping on metal? There's no way I could sleep with this thing on. I turn the knob back up to its original level, and the metal screech subsides. Screw it. That'll do for tonight. Plop myself down on the bed, turn off the light, and pull the blanket over my head. There's a sinister rumble in my belly. That doesn't bode well. I wake up with a start, and a strange sensation. A dream? A dream in which everyone was wearing the same face, and smiled and snarled at one another in the same breath. They were all playing a part in some big play, and I seemed to be the only one not to know my lines. If my mask fell off, I died. I sigh heavily and push myself off the mattress. I stagger off the bed and put my hands on each side of the sink. I look into the mirror holoscreen. The dream was real. I feel a strong urge to puke. I clench my hands on the sink until my knuckles are as white as the faux porcelain and breathe as deeply as I can. The feeling passes. I open my eyes again. I notice there's a blinking icon flashing on the holoscreen. It expands when I press it until it covers half the screen. Breakfast, mess hall. Classes, Academy Auditorium 3. Lunch, mess hall. Extracurriculars, specific. Dinner, mess hall. Advanced classes, specific. Breakfast is grayed out, and classes is bolded. Looks like I'm late on my first day of class. Bolt out the door and run like my life depends on it. It does. What happened to all the people who wore clothes of the Empire? Who knows, Magic Cut? Who knows? There's talk of other societies of some sort, and we don't know how related they are to our history or not yet. Sorry I'm late. Grand Headmaster. Grand Headmaster. You are late indeed, first level initiate. It seems that the redesign of the station altered it enough that fresh initiates do not find corresponding plans in their memories. Still, the last of your classmates arrived 10 minutes ago. Have a seat. In the future, make sure you arrive on time. Initiate Placeholdus F21. I scurry to my seat in the back. Against my better judgment, my ears and cheeks have turned a very nice shade of pink. I can hear my classmates snicker. I sink into the deep comfort of the chair and try to ignore the burning sensation. My empty stomach adds its groans to the chorus. I could remove the mouse, it's true. I mean, I could also advance with the keyboard as well. Extra likes the mouse. Just poke the Grandmaster in the eye. This is just great. He turns gestures to the holoscreen behind him. Moving on. Over the next 3 weeks, you will undergo an accelerated program. You would better not miss a class. Subjects covered will be, among others... He starts listing off subjects in a rapid-fire monotone that is hard to follow. I make out a few words. History of Horatio in the last 100 years, astrocartography, egociation, yes. Egociation, etiquette, startup imperialism, dance, valeting, personal grooming, speechcraft, xenobiology, dealing with lessers, Horatiology, cooking, reception protocol, fencing, Horatio resources, perfumes, genomic inferences, hand-to-hand combat, social hygiene, sublight navigation, logistics, glorynomics, cloning 101, personal disruption, surveillance, xenopolitics, imperial maintenance, fleet maneuvers, spacecraft care 101, aerobatics, and guns. For a start. I frown. This sure sounds like an eclectic mix. You can tell a lot about a person by how they move their mouse. I have a feeling that simply repeating this list will take up most of the 3 weeks at our disposal. We'll begin with an all-time favorite, personal grooming. My classmates let out appreciative ahs and approving nods at this subject choice. Next up is a very detailed anatomical representation of Horatio. Eternus begins. Melodious chimes sound off in the distance. Heads perk up and look around. Ah, time flies when we are having fun. I did not have any fun. Yeah, not handheld personal defense munitions, just guns. It should have been gun apostrophe S though. Should have clearly been gun apostrophe S. No fun? I tried my best. Sure, I tried my best. Truly, there would be so much more to say. There's a lot more course material. We'll get to some of it later, but for now, it is time for you to get to lunch. This afternoon, you will be assigned your first extracurricular activities. They will be assigned to you based on personal affinities. I will see you all... Pauses for dramatic effect. Tomorrow. Same place, same time. Do not be late. A passing glance in my direction is all the confirmation I need. I look away with a detached air and avoid making eye contact. We're back in the mess hall, and it seems Slop is back as well. I can't tell if I've had better, because, obviously, but I'm pretty sure these aren't fine foods that we're supposed to be enjoying. Faces around me are a mix of resignation and grumpiness, confirming my hunch. Ain't no one liking the grub here. I shuffled along the line with my tray. The same Horatio I saw yesterday hands me a bowl of the same slop. I sigh again. The Horatio lunch person hears it, and his expression changes. Hey, you think this is enjoyable for me? It isn't. I look at him. You wouldn't happen to have something to make this taste a little better? Anything? He considers this for a moment, then snatches a little spice shaker from the counter and hands it to me. You can always sprinkle this on top. I pour a little of what turns out to be a pungent red powder on my food. I stop, look at my bowl, then add a little more, and a little more still. Soon my bowl is covered in a thin layer of red. The lunch person looks bemused. That should be enough, buddy. Okay, thanks. Hand back the spice shaker and go find a seat. I'll sit with other people. Encouraged by what could very possibly be my first conversation, I look to find a seat with other people. Find a table with an empty spot. When I put my tray down, the conversations go quiet, and faces turn towards me. One of them pipes up. Well, if this isn't the late placeholders F21. I realize my mistake, pick up my tray, and go sit on my own. I'll find no camaraderie from my classmates, now that I've been made the class dunce. I dip my spork in the bowl and give the new improved formula a taste. It's actually pretty good. There's a rich taste of, well, something or other, and it just unexpectedly warms up and explodes with flavor. I look up from my bowl, full of gratitude for this Horatio lunch person. I smile at him and give him a thumbs up. He nods at me and cocks an eyebrow. I shove big spoonfuls of the delicious slop into my face, barely chewing on it. And then the spice hits me. My tongue suddenly becomes very, very hot. It takes me a moment to realize what's happening. By the time I do, my mouth is fully engulfed in what feels like fire. I'm doing my best to choke at my food quietly, fighting back tears. The Horatio behind the counter is laughing hardly. He did it on purpose. I ignore him. I try to do my best to ignore him. It's not too difficult, as my eyes are blurry with tears. Put my tray in the return area and leave the mess hall with all the dignity I can muster. I wander back to my room. I can feel a trail of fire down my throat and into my stomach. Wash my face at the sink and slowly regain some composure. The schedule on my holopad switches from lunch to extracurriculars. A little pop-up menu indicates that I'm having imperial maintenance in the kitchen? I'm not sure what this is about, but I know I don't want to be late to it or anything ever again. I trot out of my room. I get to the mess hall minutes later. Running was not a good idea. My stomach is vehemently protesting as I look around for, well, I'm guessing the rest of the class? The other students assigned here? I'm not sure how things work. The place is now entirely deserted, which feels strange. Nobody but me. I'm about to walk out and look for a holopad to check my schedule when I hear a call. Ha! They assigned you? What a coincidence. Turn around. It's the lunch person who tricked me. He's waving me over from behind the counter. Come over here. Imperial maintenance, huh? You must have imperially pissed someone off. I get around the counter and into the kitchen. This place is a mess. I stand in front of him, my face a carefully composed mask. The fact that my food is still churning in my stomach doesn't help me. I feel queasy. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. It was just a harmless prank. I couldn't know you were already on someone's shit list. I look at him, frowning. Something's not right in my belly. Feels like it's trying to crawl back up. Oh, you probably didn't know. Well, Imperial Maintenance is basically the janitorial duties are all yours. Nobody wants to push a mop for a living, so it's dished out as a punishment. Looks like you and me are on cleaning duty today. I'm about to speak up when a sudden urge to retch overpowers me. I vomit on the floor. And this is where you'll start. I hate the feeling, but I have to say I'm immediately relieved. Red firegrass will do that to you when you put too much. I did kind of set you up for it. Sorry? He hands me a dishcloth, which I wipe my mouth with. I'm Darien F-19, by the way. Second level initiate Megres Darien F-19. Placeholdus. First level initiate Megres Placeholdus F-21. His hand is still open, extended towards me. He is looking intently at me. Hey, just do. Nothing has made it sound appetizing so far, just do, yeah. Apparently the spice powder does at least taste pretty good. Bygones. I shake his hand. Okay. Yeah, but like, thought that might be bad too. That's okay. I place my hand in his and squeeze, feeling like it's the appropriate thing to do after introductions. He looks taken aback. His hand is warm and limp in my clammy fingers. The experience is deeply uncomfortable. Okay? Yeah, I'm not sure what I was trying to do here. We let go. I grab a mop and a bucket and set about cleaning my mess. During F-19, surreptitiously, I think I've never really heard that word pronounced. Surreptitiously? No, that's still slightly off, but snatches the dishcloth from the countertop I've left it on. He does his best to look like he's cleaning, but after a couple of glances at him, it is clear that he's just puttering about. From time to time, he looks back at how I'm getting on. Once I'm more or less done, he turns to me. Surreptitiously. Hey there, Baylor. You're watching a Horatio story about clothes. Once I'm more or less done, he turns to me. Yup, I think we're pretty much done here. What do you think? What do you mean? Well, I don't know about you, but I've got places to be. Better things to do than pushing a mop around. We could just call this a day and go about our lives. How does that sound? Won't we get caught? I'm not exactly popular right now. He laughs. Having had this laugh directed at me just minutes ago, I'm not sure how to take it. Right, you're on the shit list. Let me show you how things work around here. He walks up to a wall-mounted holopad and starts typing around, flicking windows open until he finds what he's looking for. Ah, there, see? Imperial Maintenance, Kitchen. Our names, that's basically the low-level schedule. Well, if you put your hand on the biometric scanner here, and then click on Edit, you can, you can just remove us from this. Extracurricular my smooth ass. I have to admit that I'm impressed. And that really works? Gotta tell you something you may not have realized yet. The security features are here to protect the Empire from its indesirables. They're not exactly geared to protect it from insiders who might have different inclinations. Turns to me. So what do you say? Are we done here? I consider my options. I don't know. I mean, we already know he's, like, been assigned low-tier tasks due to his, you know, behavior, whatever that actually entails. Responsibility to self, and responsibility to group, and responsibility to, well, not really responsibility, and fear to stay alive. That's right, on fire. Alright. You know what? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be learning here, but you said it. I'm not gonna stay here and push a mop around. Right on. Presses a few buttons on the holopad and a moment later turns back to me. Our work here is done. Let's go. He moves to leave and I follow. I notice he's still carrying the dishcloth with him, which I do find pretty gross. This should buy us a couple of hours. Nobody will check in on us because he leans in conspiratorially. They all think they've got better things to do, too. We exit the same way we came in, through the mess hall. Darien F-19 is walking a couple of steps ahead of me, and seeing as I personally don't have any destination in mind, I'm tagging along. He notices, stops, and turns around. Listen, friend, I've got places to go, people to be. Let's keep this casual, shall we? Oh. By the time I processed that I was being dismissed, he has rounded the corner of the hallway and disappeared. Hey, Pyro Man. Oh, what could go horribly wrong? I go explore my own. Decide that, well, if he's got things to do, I'll just have to find my own fun. I start walking in another direction, aimlessly for sure, as I have no idea where most of these hallways lead. Nonetheless, I try to maintain the arrogant outward attitude of every me. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my steps take me back to the concourse. It's almost empty compared to the first time I saw it. Still, the murmurs of distant conversation, the echoing footsteps, the light filtering from outside, all of it contributes to give the place an air of reverence. I try not to gawk as I walk around. The freely growing trees, the fountains and water pieces with running water, all of this contributes to paint a picture of an empire built on a boundless pride. We are, I'm pretty sure of, one small mistake away from a tragic accident here. If the glass ceiling were to shatter, boundless arrogance or endless optimism? Probably a little bit of both. I hear footsteps rapidly approaching and startle as if I was caught doing something illegal. Thought crimes. Thankfully, nobody can hear what's going on in my head. Can they? I look discreetly over my shoulder and recognize Exorcist B-12, the Master Sergeant guy. He is in an agitated conversation with, I think it was Turgis F-07, the lab tech? I hear some of their exchange as they get closer. What do you mean you don't know where he is? I am his instructor, same as you. I am not here to track brothers at your convenience. If you of all his siblings hadn't kept on piling sanctions on him to build character, he might have been more assiduous in his attendance. Exorcist B-12 comes to an abrupt stop a couple of meters away from me and turns to face Turgis F-07, practically shouting in his face. This is important! Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Not only is this not my expertise, but I've got prior engagements. I don't get it! It's blowing ships up and showing Eternus P-02 your worth. He was lucky to be selected for fleet maneuvers in the first place. Who wouldn't jump at the chance? Looks like he wouldn't. Exodus B-12 stumps off down the hallway. Turgis F-07 turns around in a dignified, rigid posture. He mutters in the general direction of the Master Sergeant. I am almost late for my picnic now. Now, where is this greenhouse? Ah, this way. He walks away at a leisurely pace. Fleet maneuvers? That sounds like an advanced class. Could be a way to blow things up, take the pressure off, or a way to try and fit in, show what I'm worth. On the other hand, a picnic, what do I want to do? Those are the options, huh? Well, assumedly, we have plenty of ample opportunity to get in terrible trouble on either path. Just go crash in the picnic. Like, it seems like we have more room to get in trouble here, but also more room to blend in here. Hey, elephant. Alright, picnic. That sounds a little too good to be true, but experiences aboard the station can't possibly all be harrowing, can they? I jog after Turgis F-07. He turns his head towards me, but doesn't stop. If it isn't our newly decanted idiot brother, can I help you? I overheard you were having a picnic in the greenhouse. I was hoping I might join you. He stops and considers this for a second. He peers at me intently. What did you say your name was? Placeholders F-21. First level initiate Megares Placeholders F-21. F-21, huh? I'm third-rate Chamberlain Megares Turgis F-07, but among us the honorifics won't be necessary. Yes, you may tag along. Some games are better with 3 players. You are familiar with the Horatio, aren't you? What? No? I might need a rules refresher, especially if you are playing with local variants, or if the rules have changed recently. Yes, we are playing with a local variant. It looks like I'll just have to fake my way through this game, just like I do with everything else. A greenhouse picnic? I'm coming. Let's go, then. We're already late. He resumes his walk, and I follow. We walk for a good while, past many signs that read greenhouse and point in another direction. I glance at him sideways, but he doesn't seem to worry. Eventually, we get to a quiet area. A sign, out of order, is placed in front of a door that reads, Greenhouse, Access 9. Turgis F-07 steps around it and grabs the handle. With a hiss, the door opens. A wave of hot and humid air hits me, accompanied by strange and fragrant smells. I hear bird calls coming from inside. After you. I step into the greenhouse and into another world. Turgis F-07 steps in and closes the door behind him. On this side, it is barely distinguishable from the thick foliage surrounding us. I look around me in astonishment. Plants, bushes, trees, and vines are everywhere, draping over one another, towards a canopy I can barely make out. The place is deeply alien and yet oddly familiar. It feels like being in my clone birth. Your mouth is open. Be careful you don't accidentally swallow a mosquito. A mosquito? Don't worry, there are no mosquitoes here. Try as we might have, though, it was impossible to prevent most insects from cropping up here and there. The larvae were in the saplings and in the pots, you see. Anyway, we also have an assortment of wildlife, ranging from small amphibians to birds, with more exotic species coming from all over the Empire. Those who survive, anyway. This way, do watch your step. He starts walking through the underbrush. I step after him gingerly, careful not to trample anything or step in anything weird. Do you have any predators in here? He chuckles. No, nothing that would hurt you too much. We are the biggest threat around here. We walk for what feels like a while through the forest. Every once in a while, I catch a glance of a familiar sight. A support pillar here or a windowed pane there. Otherwise, I'm pretty lost. I think we have, in all likelihood, covered a couple 100 meters, but I'm pretty sure I could never find the exit we came in through, ever again. This last thought kind of freaks me out, and I hurry to catch up with Turgus F-07 when he rounds a big tree and suddenly stops. We're there. We've arrived at a small clearing, nested against a stone ridge. That can't be real rock. And then I realize that off the ridge drops a waterfall. This place is breathtaking. I start smiling without being able to help myself. Whoa. Yes, I'm quite fond of this place too. Come on, let's introduce you. I snap out of my reverie. Introductions? Turgus F-07 walks into the clearing, stepping on a patch of grass. Another Horatio is lounging there, laying back next to the water. I recognize him immediately. Fair enough. So there's the fork rejoinder. Although we don't know quite what it would look like if we did the flight trade, like tried to sneak into the flight trading spot. Hey, happy culture. Placeholders F21, allow me to introduce you to Darian F19. I know him. Oh. He sits up a bit and waves at me. Fancy of you to join us. Turgus F-07 sits down cross-legged and I follow suit, although it takes me a couple of tries to get it right. Darren F-19 opens his satchel and starts pulling out various food items from it. He starts passing fruit around. I eye the thing suspiciously. It is purple with a curly, hard stem and no visible imperfections. I wait for them to do. No, I'm not even conscious about that. I'm just like afraid we might be using the food for the game or something, you know? I'm just a bit cautious. I've been burned before, and by the exact same person. Darren F-19 winks at me and takes a bite. Alright then. Juices pour out after my first crunchy bite. It is so incredibly tasty that I feel tears well up in my eyes. A sweet note, followed immediately by a sour taste that makes the back of my palate tingle. It is my favorite food in the world. I try not to speak with a full mouth. This is so good. Where do you get this kind of fruit? Oh, the tree's right here on the station, in another part of the greenhouse. He smirks. They grow on the same goop as you. This dampens my satisfaction a little bit, and I eat the rest of my fruit in silence. Turgus F-07 and Darren F-19 seem slightly amused by my reaction. To answer your question, though, I didn't pick them myself. I, liberated those from the station's pantry. They're reserved for officers and brothers of the station comparable or superior to that of our dear Turgus F-07 here. Liberated, huh? Let's just say they're unlikely to miss any of it, right, Turgus F-07? Yes, their stomach tends to be delicate, since they're used to the Imperial nourishment feed. You mean the slop we get in the mess? Indeed, most of them are so used to eating it that their organs aren't really up for anything different. But on a station where your food regimen is assigned to you, what you eat shows important... shows how important, I assume, should be here. What you eat shows how important you are, so they put on a brave show. In a way, we're sparing them this trial. How's it going, Just Sparky? Thank you for the raid. Here's what I spared them from today. Catch. Darien F19 hands out a variety of cookies and what I think is a soft cheese with a mild taste. We top it off with a fizzy drink and then sit in companionable silence, idly watching the waters stream by. Birds sing in the trees around us. We're 1,000,000 kilometers away from the rest of the station. Want to play a game? We turn towards Darien F19. Come on. Horatio, anyone? You know I'm always up for a game. What about you, placeholders F21? I have no idea what the game is about. I'm not sure I'm up for another bout of faking my way through the day. It was so nice just hanging out. What should I answer? I like games. Sure, let's play. I'll need a rules refresher, though. Great. I really hope they'll say enough for me to play it by ear. We gather around Darien F19, who pulls out a deck of cards from an inside pocket. An interesting item to have on oneself at all times, for sure. He shuffles the deck with a deft hand and starts dealing the cards face down. The card's back features elaborate scrollwork and the Imperial logo. I wonder where these were liberated from. So you know how Horatio is about taking as many tricks as possible, counting a point for each figure? Well, the variant we are playing is based off a game that is, believe it or not, even more ancient. In this variant, the player with the Emperor of Spades becomes Horatio Prime. He wants to make sure he has the highest number of tricks possible. The other players have to try to make it so that everyone has the exact same number of tricks. It is very difficult, especially because Prime is used to getting the best and leaving the crumbs to the rest of us. But we believe that... Darien, you're digressing. Right, it is very difficult for the other players, is what I mean. Okay, got it. Look at my cards. All the figures represent Horatio in some costume or other. The very first card in my hand is the Emperor of Spades. Oh, brother. Guess at least my goal is clear. Prime, speak up? That's me. Alright. Turgus F07, cast Darien F19, a glance. Let's go. I'm not sure if I'm very bad or they're very good, but they make short work of me, ending with an impressive 17 tricks each. You guys are really good. Yep, we've been preparing for a long time. Turgus F07 looks at his holopad. I've got some things to do before lights out. Darien F19 nods along. Same. Let's go. Placeholder F21? Otherwise you'll be wandering this place for a while. Well, I'm back to the rat race. Alas. What does that even mean, anyway? Turgus F07 considers my question for a moment, then leads us out of the clearing and back into the forest, the way we came. You know what? I don't think I've actually ever seen a rat. Come to the Hangar Bay someday. I'll show you the Caligros prairie rats that hang around the condensators. You'll love them. I don't think so, dear. We reach the door, which Turgus F07 opens and closes behind us. I start. Well, that was fun. I turn around. They're walking down different paths and away from me, without so much as a goodbye. No, 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 no. Yeah, I was thinking Prime didn't have to speak up too. That was kind of my thought. Like the game they describe is actually somewhat similar to a game I've designed with some friends. 3-player trick-taking game. Whatever. I shrug. I'm weirded out, but nonetheless thankful for the opportunity. I make my way home, exhausted. I've never been happier to see my bed. I dive face first into it and instantly fall asleep. Over the next few days, I settle into a routine, marked by classes, mundane and strange alike. As much as possible, I do my own thing. I do attend the classes, and with the extracurricular activities, up to a point, I try to keep a low profile and make sure no one notices me. For that, I use the trick Darien F-19 showed me with the holoscreen. It works, I think. Nonetheless... I've never heard of a variant of spades like that at all, get there. Like, they didn't say anything about bidding number of tricks you're taking or anything like that either. Nonetheless... Sure. I am not sure how much longer I'll be able to fake my way through the day, until the moment I can take off the mask and be myself. Hey there, Ed. Not that I know of. Master Sergeant Extras B12 and the instructor clones I've learned was called Third-Rate Chamberlain Megrez Turgis F-07. Join Master Eternus to lead specific classes. From our accelerated program, our primary purpose becomes increasingly clear. We need to pass the inspection ceremony from Horatio Prime with flying colors, and at any cost. Learning how to actually perform at this, Isyander's Academy? Well, maybe later. We learn that a big rehearsal is planned for the end of the week. My classmates seem excited. Personally, I don't care either way. At this stage, I'm exhausted with pretending. One way or the other, things will happen to me and I'll do my best to survive them. And most importantly, remember, do not mess this up. Do not screw this up, cadets. Whatever. The ceremony rehearsal is taking place today on the concourse. My classmates and I are arrayed in 2 lines, facing one another. I don't really know why Darien was in a position to pipe up there and why that made sense, but sure. The excitement is palpable for this part, as we are apparently going to perform the Imperial Bass dance? Sure, bass dance. A courtly dance that was extremely popular a few centuries ago. This explains why we've had absolutely no dance classes so far. Us newly decanted clones and our instructors alike know the dance very well. Normally. I would say that my memory of it is foggy, but of course I have absolutely no recollection of this dance, or anything, ever. What's my experience with twerking? About the same as my experience with dabbing. The only things I know about dancing in the Horatio Empire are things I learned while browsing on my holoscreen. First, that there are dozens of dances that have come and gone in favor throughout the centuries. Second, that dancing is sometimes seen as a conduit for social advancement, as it is a chance to mingle with the powerful. It has apparently been used as a plot point in countless stories and dramas, to the point where it's considered a well-worn cliché. This cliché, though, most certainly contains a kernel of truth. We have been paired up randomly with one another, some of us having the honor of dancing alongside our instructors. I note that Eternus P02 is partnered with Exorus B12. Are you afraid of something, Eternus P02? My own dance companion is not anyone I've actually ever talked to, barring the disappointed grunt when our respective names were drawn. I've already forgotten his. Attention, cadets. Every me on your marks. He presses a couple of keys on his holopad. And music? This dance is not the worst they could have picked. In bass dance, the leading couple performs the moves first, and the other couples replicate. This leaves me a couple of beats to try to process what I'm seeing and mirror their movements. I'm gonna need all the help I can get. They start. A step forward and a deep bow with an arm extension. I can do that. I nod towards my partner. He grudgingly nods back. Don't be like that, buddy. We're in this together. This game's been putting us on autopilot. Where's the comma? That's right, instant. I think it was a step 4. No, I could hear it either way in my head. Step forward and a deep bow. I can do that. A deep bow and a step forward. I can do that. The last one sounded better. There is the save option. We'll use it, but probably not actually use it. I mean, I could also just like rewind the text as well, right? Like it's interesting because you have the option, right? Deep bow and an arm extension. Oh, no, okay, step forward, then a deep bow. There was something after deep bow. That's why that felt better. Okay. Step, bow, arm extension. Like, okay. That's why the flow went that way. Good memory test. I mean... Put my right foot in front, put my weight on it, and bend at the waist while looking at my partner's feet. So far, so good. Eternus P02 and Exorus B12 have straightened back up and are now taking a side step to the left and back without moving the right foot. Then they step back with their left foot, come back, still without moving the right foot. My left, right? That wasn't the thing I was focused on remembering, of course. I don't know, how do we want to handle this? The game, like, very openly is like, you can always look back, and I imagine most players would. Step to my left. I slide my foot to my left in a posture that is reminiscent of what I like to call Exodus B12 power stance, and back. Then I step backward, shift my weight equally among both feet, and come back. I'm slightly off tempo, but I don't think anyone has noticed. How's it going, Zimmy? Appreciate that 20 months of continued support. The leading couple starts a series of small steps towards one another. After 5, they stop, then sidestep towards the right, come back, then step backwards, come back again, and take a deep bow with another arm flourish. It's the most complicated steps yet. Step right, then step back. I take 5 cautious steps forward, focusing on my feet. A step to the right, my foot slides a bit on the polished floor, but I recover gracefully with my own kind of arm flourish. I step back just a little too fast, correct my course in a lunge that brings me too close to my dance partner. I take a deep bow and lose balance halfway through, headbutting him right in his own bow and sending us both sprawling to the floor. Alright, Ed, we got the headbutt. Hey, Music Dad. He seems absolutely furious. Achievement unlocked through no fault of my own. You moron, can't you watch where you step? The 2 lines of dancers stop. Every me is staring at us. This is bad. What kind of subpar batch do you come from if you can't even follow along? Look. The music stops too. This is very bad. Actress B12 pushes his way through to us. What happened here, cadets? Explain yourselves. My classmate wastes no time in throwing me under the bus. I start yammering something about having slipped on the slick floor when I notice Eternus P02 has joined the circle of onlookers. I decide the best course of action is to be quiet now. Exodus B12 summarizes the situation for the headmaster. It seems first level initiate Megarez placeholders F21 fell onto the other cadet. Eternus P02 turns to us. Is the bass dance too difficult for you, initiates? My classmate breathes in to protest, but a gesture from the headmaster stops him in his tracks. Not one more word. He raises his voice to address the crowd. The ceremony rehearsal is cancelled. You can all thank Initiate Placeholders F21 for this initiative. You can go back to your quarters now. There are audible gasps and murmurs. Eternus P02 turns back to me. Initiate, come with us. He moves to leave, Exodus B12 in tow. Have we done the proper honorifics that we are allowed to say, sir, at this point? Probably not. I don't think there's anything I can say that would help right now. I get up and follow, a few steps behind the pair. I have a bad feeling about this. We make our way through quiet hallways, with neither of them speaking. We reach an area I've never set foot in. The station is quiet as always, but in here, under these circumstances, it has a certain oppressive feeling. As we turn a corner, Eternus P02 throws me a sidelong glance that sends shivers down my spine. The headmaster steps in through an otherwise unremarkable door. Exodus B12 stops, waits for me to enter, and the door closes silently behind him. Despite my precarious situation, I can't help but stare at the opulence of the room. This is everything I've seen in my series, and more. The view is breathtaking. Your series? Eternus P02 is looking out the window, his back to us. After a few moments, he turns around and breaks the silence. Initiate placeholders F21. It is bad when a newly decanted clone catches my attention. Do you know why? Well, I don't like either of those options. I mean, arguably we have had proper introductions, so Sir is okay at this point, but... no, sir. The defining trait every me here have in common, and that we value above all else, is ambition. We want to get places, gain power. Sometimes, well, most times, we seize it from the cold dead hands of the brother who held it before us. We want to be seen in a prime light, and to operate in the shadows whenever we need to do more unsightly actions. The worst that could happen is for somebody else to catch us in a situation of weakness. Unfortunately for me, my ability to produce an awe-inspiring batch of cadets that can pass muster is currently in jeopardy. Your antics today have left me in a precarious position. One of my cadets is not meeting our standards. What? Oh, there's no is here. Okay, I was like, how does this sentence make sense? One of my cadets not meeting our standards would be a delay in our esteemed Emperor's plans. A delay I would be responsible for. It might be a lot easier for me to just get rid of you and pretend you were never here in the first place. We are, however, as you no doubt will have noticed, rather severely short-staffed aboard the station. I was loath to reveal the extent of the situation to the idiots overseeing the cloning facilities in the system, for reasons you can imagine. Therefore, until we have discreetly replenished our complement of station personnel, I would rather not have to get rid of anyone, whether they happen to displease me or not. I have two options when it comes to what will happen to you. The first one is the easiest. Assign you on a special mission and send you to investigate the disappearance of our patrol. With some luck, you might never come back, and if you do, we will have learned valuable information. In any case, you are out of the way. The second option exists only because we have invested time and resources in you, and there's a tiny chance you might turn out all right, given the proper training. A second chance, if you will, to prove that you can perform like any of your brothers. At the same time, I would hate to extend this offer to you if you were not ready to step up. Do you understand? The choice, ultimately, is yours. Are you ready to put in the effort, or is this all proving too much for you? I'm amazed I managed to not say anything snarky or otherwise during this entire monologue. How's it going, Jovo? Thank you kindly for the continued stream support. We do all have holes in our head, it would seem. We could even ask him what he recommends, huh? Special mission. We don't have guns training, though. Maybe we do. Maybe we've had time for guns class. I don't know. I think what I do know is that it's probably time for a break, though. I think we need to do the old break thing before proceeding here. So we're gonna do just that. But thank you all for hanging out. We'll see you back here in just a couple minutes. Zapper's favorite time. Thanks for joining me through this weird little visual novel, and I'll see you shortly. Alrighty, we are back. Seems like death either way, quite possibly. Horrible. I don't know, what would you recommend? What would you recommend? I have several internal reports that show a tendency to favor your own needs over those of the Empire. If your own person is what interests you, an environment with fewer people might be preferable. Um... So, I mean... Special mission time? Who wants to learn that dance anyway? Ha, Zapper. Oh, I mean, it's it's easy to hide things if I want to. Like, the goal is to hide something that is still noticed, which is hard. To be clear, I'm not saying there is currently any unfound things sitting around. Folks have not been on the current puzzle long enough for me to be throwing further hints out just yet. But there's definitely been plenty of times in the past I have repeatedly hidden hints, but they were too hidden and nobody saw them. And occasionally times when people commented on the Fortuity Conundrum hints, but then still didn't recognize that they were relevant. Those were the hard ones right there. There's like, oh no, come on, you noticed it. Hey, Cryuji. There is in fact a current puzzle, Music Dad. Yes, it is not a ruse. Alright, special mission it is then. I'm tired of the song and dance. This is probably for the best. If you cannot follow the music, march to the beat of your own drum. See how that goes for you. It is decided then. Chamberlain Turgis F-07 will show you to your new quarters. Soon. This is the end of the first part of your adventures in Love Thyself, a Horatio story. I'm sure part 2 will be quite eventful. We aim to release it when it's done. What do you think of the experience so far? Loved it, hate it? Yeah, I thought that might be the end, but I wasn't sure. And there was one spot before that I thought might be the end earlier, so I was like, we still need to take a break because it may not be the actual end. Pure visual novel, crazy. This is the part 1. And I guess part 2 has some level of 2 separate stories, at least for a little while, if we're ending on this split. And they aren't ending with this, like, being a loss directly. It's like, and you were never heard from again or anything, no. Music by Fly By No, huh? Yeah, so we've got a special mission to deliver information to the last Federation base. So we'll continue the story next time we play FTL. It always feels weird when a Like, game like this is made like with like, I don't know, a side group or like side project of a big team. Because obviously this is like a huge thing that needs that level of credits, but just that's how it ends up being when you've got a big team already that's just decides to make a side project. Well, I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. It was okay so far. It's at least somewhat interesting. Wait, look at this face over here, though. This face is great. That's me, clearly. So, yeah, I don't know. It was free, it was okay. We might play a second chapter, we might not.